Hello, this video is for getting set up as a mentee. We're going to try something that I haven't done before, but would see how it works. What we're going to do is use GitHub to track and monitor the mentor-mentee experience. GitHub, if you don't know, is a place for collaboration, essentially, and a place designed for multiple people to work on a project at once. But you can also work on things by yourself, or instead of working on a project as a group. And it's primarily designed to use GitHub with code. That's how it's designed. But we can also find lots of use with GitHub for other purposes. So with this, we're going to be not writing any code, but we will be utilizing GitHub's interactive components for communication, as well as tracking changes across time. Okay, so the first step is to travel over to github.com. If you do not have an account, you will not get this page. You will get something that looks like this. And then you will click on sign up if you don't have an account on GitHub, and you'll go through the steps here, and it should be pretty straightforward. But if you have any questions, you can feel free to ping me. So I'll click on sign in since I already have an account and my password is auto-populated. I have two-factor authentication, so I need to type in my second code. Oh, I typed it in wrong. Alright, no, actually I missed the cutoff by just a second. There we go. So if you just have an account, this might look a little blank. I follow a lot of repositories and do a lot of things, so my my landing page is a little busy. What we want to do is go to the profile, and right now I am signed up or a member of the HPC lab. So you will get an invitation to the HPC lab if we are if I'm planning on doing a mentorship experience. And where we want to travel is so you see github.com / capital H, capital B, capital C, lowercase lab. And what we'll look for is the mentoring template. It won't always be on the top, but we can find it easily just by starting to type in the name of the repository. So mentoring template is the repository that we're looking for. And again, I'll have to add you to the organization and to be able to see this repository. And what we'll do from here is I'll give a brief overview of what this is and what you'll do to interact with it. So this is a repository in which all the documents are based off this book, The Mentee's Guide, which has a lot of great exercises and a lot of great forms, just in order to make the relationship a little bit more explicit and just be able to talk about the things that we would want from a mentor-mentee relationship, and just to make sure that we're getting the things that we want to get out of this and that nobody feels, I guess, left behind or not getting what they want out of the experience. So I find that this is this looks like a really cool resource to keep track of, and should make everything better, or just great. So I split it off into 3 sections right now. This might change and then like a fourth section for miscellaneous documents. So the prep is what is to be done before I guess we really get started and for our first meeting. So there's some prereq stuff and some things that we would like to do before we meet and some of the things that we do at our first meeting. So we have the checklist planning. So these are things that we would like to the mentee to complete before we start. Some of these, since it's copied straight from the book, some of these don't quite make sense. But I'll have you read over these, and we might have another in-person conversation just as a quick touch to quickly touch base, just to know what exactly should be filled out versus not. And if you're not familiar with this MD extension, it stands for Markdown. It's like text on steroids. So in addition to just being able to write out text, you can annotate it by making it bold, and you can have headers that you can link to. Or I guess like you can have column. I guess what do you say? I call them headings that you can link to. But we can touch base on that at another time. So if we're in this repository and you have access to this repository, the first thing that we would like to do is not make changes to this repository. This is just the template. And we are going to fork it. And if you just made an account on GitHub, you should probably just see your username, and that's what we want to choose. And then we'll fork it into our own repository. And I can even and it will say the connection is forked from HPC Lab mentoring template, and now it's under my name. So if we hop on over to settings here, we can rename it. So I can call it mentoring, maybe like an underscore, JD Kent. So I'll rename that. So I know that this repository is just for me. And now I can start making changes. You can see that it's still private. So that means anything that's in here, only I can see it. And I think if you fork it, if somebody else forks it, then only you and me, or only you and I will see it. We'll be able to access it. But that's something that I will have to test with someone else to be absolutely positive. So now you can go into the checklist planning. You can say, oh, read through the Mentee's guide. That's the first thing. So I'll read through this document. There's some text. I mean, there's a decent amount of text here. I've read through all of it. I want to say maybe it took an hour, if I recall correctly, to get through everything. But it's a good read, and I mean, it'll help you get an idea of what kinds of things are expected. I mean, I think they go a little bit further than I really need in terms of how to appreciate your mentor. Like they say, take your mentor out to dinner or breakfast or lunch, and like that's not necessary for me. I'm fine with a simple thank you. But let's say we look at this and we want to edit it. Say we finished reading through the Mentee's guide. So we can click on that pencil in the corner there. And now we can put an X through here. And I can say, well, I guess first let's see to make sure that it actually does what we expect it to do. Looks like, for the most part, there's a little strangeness going on here. But now, just by placing X between these square brackets, I have now checked off that box. Now we can say what was going, or what I changed here. I can say that I read the Mentee's guide. And I'll commit the changes. And now we see that that mark is checked off. So we can do that for the other markdown files here. So let's say tentative personal professional goals I'd like to accomplish with the help of my mentor. Then we can start typing out what are the things that we would like to accomplish. Obviously, I'm just typing gibberish here, but I'll actually fill this out, and I will encourage you to fill this out as well. And we will not need to actually edit that right now, but again, just to edit, you'll hit the pencil and you'll fill out the markdown files in prep as best you can, and we will have further meetings to talk about the ongoing and ending folders, and we don't need to, as far as I'm concerned, we don't need to worry about the other folder right now. Alright, so I introduced you to GitHub, how to fork a repository, about the HPC lab, GitHub organization. Again, I'll have to give you permission to access this and the mentoring template, but as soon as we get that, then get that squared away, then we can have you fork the repository and change the name and make edits to the files here. I'll cover it in another lesson in case you want to make these changes locally on your desktop and then not do it through the GitHub interface. So that will involve concepts such as cloning and using a verified text editor, which my recommendation is VS Code, but we will not cover that in this video. Alright, then I think I've covered all the core concepts, and I will say thank you for listening.